So I want to go through some cold calling advice that no one told me, I couldn't find online, and I sort of had to just work this out for myself through just doing thousands and thousands of dials and just naturally getting better at cold calling. I started to figure this stuff out myself. So the first thing is to use a repeatable script that feels natural and that feels comfortable to you. The best script is a script that A, works, and B, is comfortable for you to say. And because it's comfortable for you to say, you can say it with confidence and you're not scared of saying the script to prospects. So for example, using permission-based openers or using different types of openers. Like you may be extremely scared of saying an opener like, hey Janet, have you got 30 seconds for me to tell you why I'm calling, or do you want to hang up now? Or something like that. Like it's really about just finding a script and finding something that you can say that actually gives you confidence to say it and doesn't make you hate cold calling and dread every single dial that you're going to make. The best script is the one that you can reel off and you can really get used to saying it because you enjoy saying it and you don't dread every call you're making because what you're saying doesn't feel natural to you. The most important thing is that you have a script that you feel comfortable saying. And because you feel comfortable saying it, it's going to be a lot easier to make cold calls. So just because someone's saying online, like, this is the best script, this gets the best response rates, this is what works the best in this niche, like, yeah, it might work for them, but like a huge part of cold calling is how you're saying the words rather than what you're saying. And if you feel comfortable and confident about the script that you're using, your tonality is going to be so much better because you have that confidence and because you have that comfort in knowing what you're saying doesn't feel weird for you to say it. And you're not judging yourself when you're saying it yourself. So tune out the noise when you're looking at different scripts. Obviously, the framework of the script is hugely important and the way you say certain things. But keep in mind that something that's hugely important is, like I've said, making sure that it's comfortable for you to say it, because that is going to have the highest likelihood of you making the most amount of dials and putting the most amount of work in, and it's going to help your tonality a hell of a lot as well. The next thing is nailing your value statement. So after you've hit them with the opener and they've said, yeah, okay, you can tell me why you're calling, or yeah, okay, I'm doing well, thank you, how are you? Say, yeah, I'm doing good. Like that's if your opener is something like, hey, how are you? They say, I'm good. Then you can go into your value statement. Depending on what your opening statement is, you go into your value statement from there. So you want to nail this value statement. This value statement is literally gonna depend from this point onwards whether they're gonna book a call with you or not, because it's sort of just addressing everything that you're gonna talk about, that your service does, in like a high level snapshot. It's like a sentence or two. So you really want to link this in with the Alex Hormozi value equation. So you want to talk about their dream outcome. You want to talk about the effort and the sacrifice required on their end. And you want to talk about the speed that they're going to get results in. So you want to keep this extremely concise. You want to keep this focused on outcomes, and you want to relate it back to their pain points in some way as well. So for me, I'm just gonna look at what I said in one of my value statements. So I'd say my permission-based opener, and then I'd say something like, okay, so the reason I'm calling is because we partner with sub-niche agencies. So my niche at the time is marketing agencies, and I'd tailor the sub-niche. I'd tailor the sub-niche dependent on what area the agency was actually in. So I'd have my lead list, I'd look at the prospect's website, I'd see whether it might be an influencer marketing agency, a paid advertising agency, an email marketing agency, and I would change the description of the agency based on what they actually were. So I might say, hey, the reason I'm calling is because we partner with influencer marketing agencies in, again, location. So I'd see the location and I could tailor that as well. So every cold call I made, with the value statement, I'd be able to make it custom because I could clearly see on my lead list, on my power dialer, where the prospect was from and what specific industry the prospect was in. Because agencies are a broad term. Like let's say you're targeting software. Software is an extremely broad term. You want to make that as custom as possible and make it relevant to the persona of that niche. And I'd say, okay, so the reason I'm calling this because we partner with influencer marketing agencies in the United States who are currently prioritizing growth, and we guarantee to add a minimum of 100K a month in new revenue over 6 months on a zero risk basis with close to zero effort or sacrifice on their side. This is purely just to gain attention and allow yourself to have more time to explain. That's all it is. And I wouldn't say United States, I'd get more specific with that based on where they are. So let's say they're in Washington. We partner with influencer marketing agencies in Washington, etc. So make it specific, make that value statement really strong, outcome focused, keep it at a high level, and link it with those 4 pillars of the Hormozy value equation. I'd throw in case studies if you can on this as well. Link the dream outcome, talk about the effort and sacrifice required on their side, and then obviously link in the time it's going to take you to get results as well. And then from there, you can ask for a little bit more time, another 20 seconds, to go into more detail and covering the 3 core pillars of your service, or however many pillars you have. Ideally, you have 3 to 5 key core pillars that you can just touch on at a high level. And this is where you really make them feel understood and link it back into their pain points and show them that you actually have that domain expertise and you're going to provide a solution that has a high chance of solving that problem. The next thing is getting them saying yes, yes. And on top of this, having a strong call to action. So if you've seen my script at all, I've covered it in a few videos. The whole script is focused on getting them to say yes, yes, multiple times because it's reinforcing that behavior. Like they've already said yes to a few micro commitments that when you then give that call to action, it's a lot easier for them to say yes to a bigger commitment, which is them giving you time on their calendar. So the first time I get a yes in my script is in my permission-based opener. And that'll be the same for you if they say yes and let you carry on. So for example, hey, this is Max. I know I've not spoken before, but would you have any objections for me just to give you a quick overview of why I called? And then you can decide whether it makes sense to continue the conversation. They say yes, I say my value statement. And what I say after my value statement, which covers what I do at a high level, keeps it outcome focused, is say, can I quickly explain how we do that in about 20 seconds of your time? Again, another yes. At this point, I've already got 2 yeses. After I cover my 3 core pillars of my service at a high level, I ask them, does that make sense? Which again, sets them up to say yes again. Or it gives them a chance to ask some questions for me to clarify the answers to those questions before I then give the CTA. In most cases, they'll say yes because the description of what you're doing, your core pillars, should be very, very clear and concise. And you should test that and you should link it into their pain points as much as possible. So they'll feel understood, they'll know exactly what you do, and they're going to be able to say yes to does that make sense? And at that point, we've already got 3 yeses from them, 3 micro commitments in their brain before we've even asked for the call to action. So now when it comes to the call to action and when it comes to saying a strong call to action, like it's a lot easier for them to give you that macro commitment of time on the calendar because they've already bought into 3 yeses and given you those micro commitments beforehand. It's all psychology. So what I'd say in the call to action, I used to say something like, yeah, I mean, is it okay if we book in time for your calendar, if you're free next Wednesday maybe? It's not assertive enough. It's not authoritative enough. Like now what I say is, okay, cool. I'm looking to set up a time to chat next week just to get aligned and introduced going forward on this. How does your calendar look for next Wednesday at 2 p.m. EST? So it's assertive. It's not making it easy for them to say yes. You want to move them into a position where it's hard for them to say no and it's easy for them to say yes. And you do that with authority. So when I was first getting started, I made tons of mistakes around this. And these were 3 things that I really had to find out for myself with a lot of testing, with a lot of iteration. And yeah, it took a while, but these 3 things, if you implement them, will help tremendously. So I've got a complete cold calling guide in the description that you can sign up for. You just have to put your email in and it will literally give you everything that I do on a cold calling basis. So from leads, scripts, software, everything that I do, tips, bonus, etc. And you can check that out. Also, I offer 2-to-1 mentorship along with my business partner who will link in the description. If that interests you at all, you can book in a call with me to talk about it in more detail. But that's everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed and take it easy.